As a trucker, I travel a lot, traveling places I wish I hadn't been. As a trucker, I see a lot, seeing some things I wish I'd never seen. As a trucker, I experience a lot, experience things I wish I'd never experienced. But it is these things that make me who I am. And that is why I love the job, not knowing what I'll run into next. However, unknowing means you cannot foreplan how you will act in certain situations. And I do not make the right choices in certain situations at all. I was in the UK a while back, taking a load up to the north of England. It was dark with few stars in the sky. I couldn't quite focus on the road for some reason, and kept fiddling with the radio. A few minutes passed of me doing this. I looked up and caught it right in my headlights. Sprawled out on the ground was a body. It wasn't moving. I pulled the truck onto the side and climbed out. I approached the body slowly. I cautiously asked, "Are you okay, sir?" No reply. I walked over, about to take his pulse. I then realized there was no need. Blood was oozing out from underneath him, an obvious stab wound. It was clear to see the man was dead, and I knew that I had to call the police. I dialed 999 and explained to them what I had found. They said they would send someone out to me and to stay put. A few moments later, I heard a voice shouting and the sound of footsteps, fast footsteps, hitting the floor hard. I could make out the silhouettes of two men, one carrying a bag. I knew exactly what that was for. I sprinted back to my truck and clambered in, heart pounding. How could this be happening to me? That was the question thumping inside my head. The men had made it to the body now, one chucking the bag onto, then running for his car. I hadn't seen them parked on the other side of the road. The second man ran over to my truck and started trying to climb up. I opened the door powerfully on his face. He cried out in agony and fell backwards. I did the only thing I could think to do: drive. I slammed my foot on the accelerator and got out of there as quickly as I could, relieved that I had gotten away in time. The relief didn't last long, as I noticed headlights behind me. I was being chased down, and of course, he was much faster than me. The car behind me was gradually gaining. I knew I couldn't outrun him, but I sure could outsize him. I waited until he was right on my tail, and then crushed the brake. I was flung forward into my seat. By the time I had recovered, he was gone. I did not know where or how I hadn't hit him. I saw a turning a few yards to the left and could only assume he had taken that. I put my foot down once again. I wanted to make sure that the other man didn't catch up. I had been speeding along for a good 5 minutes when I noticed something in the middle of the road ahead. It was two cars that I recognized. It was the men. They had formed some kind of roadblock. 1,000 thoughts were spinning around in my head. Had I really stumbled across something that serious that these people needed me dead? Why would they not just attempt to get away? What do I do now? Earlier, I talked about how in certain situations I make the wrong choices. Now was one of those times. I plowed straight through the block and didn't stop. The cops arrived at the scene and questioned me on what happened and how two cars ended up lying wrecked in the middle of the road. I told them what I had done. One man had been hospitalized, and the other had escaped on foot. Detectives found fresh tire marks nearby and deduced that the man had got away by car. It turned out that the men were gang leaders. The two of them had killed the man I found on the side of the road, who was also identified as the leader of the gang. I still curse myself that the other man got away. For some reason, I can never shake the feeling that somehow I'll see him again.